Hello, in this video we're going to create this landscape inside the view. We're going to work with the different terrains. We're going to work with ecosystem, material editors, work with some painting, ecosystem, little bit on atmosphere. So just have fun, relax, and create this landscape digital painting in a view. Okay, let's go ahead and start by creating a basic terrain set. That's what we want to do. For this, we'll go to create our terrains, right click with mouse, and we're going to select high fill terrains. We could create the procedural terrains. Problem with them, they will generate it depend on the camera position, so it will be fractal. The closer camera, the higher details it is. We don't want that for this particular view because camera will be stationary and we can adjust details at the beginning. Beside that, by creating high fill terrain, we reduce some calculations that require for our terrain to process. Right here we have it 1. Let's just move it a little bit up front of the camera. And on our right side, if we'll go in size, we can see it is 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer and 77 meters high. If you prefer the imperial system instead metric, you can go always in a file, options, and inside file options we can switch right here units and coordinates, and you can switch metrics to the imperial or to any other, or view internal. So it's up to you. I prefer work with a metric system. So right here I want to actually create 3 levels. One will have it foreground, so we'll have it a very close-up elements. Next we'll have it middle ground kind of mountains and far away. And for far away mountains we'll just have it like on a back. Those ones will be low resolution. We kind of don't really will see these details, and it's actually what's happening also when we look here. You'll notice up front we'll have it higher saturations and some more details, and as object moving way over the camera, we will start losing saturations, contrast, and we'll start losing amount of details it displayed. So that way it'll give it us more perspective view. So right here we have it 1, and as I say, we'll go just shrink this down. We can shrink manually or we can just type in, and right now it's 100 meters, so let's go actually type in. We'll go 100 meters by 100 meters and maybe about 7 meters height. We may change this as well. We can always just shrink down, and that will create for us about 3 meters height. So this will be our foreground. Let's move closer. Also what I want to do is to right click and edit object, and we'll go inside the terrain editor. In terrain editor at this point we can modify some of the elements, and for me most important it is removing the edge smoothing, so you can see how it's going on top. If we're going and we disable 0 edges, you'll notice we'll have it kind of full preview. This is what I'm going after. Also we can go ahead and click on the enable show entire scene. That will show us lighting, camera, and any other objects. What I needed this for is see where's our camera located, so I can modify a little bit, mold this terrain. For this we will use the paint tool, and I want to be sure my 2D force 2D is enabled. If you're going to create overhanging cliffs or other things, you want to disable and create 3D, but in this case we'll do just 2-dimensional height. One, keep it in mind, when you do 2D it's much less polygon usage, so it will perform a little bit faster. And again, I'm not planning to do any overhanging cliffs in this moment. Next, it's set to invert and radius 4 meters. So if I'm going, you can see it's kind of start getting down. Notice what's happening here. We start losing some of this ground. That is okay if you want to do. If you want, prefer don't go over this, just kind of don't have those plots. Let's restore. So we'll just go ahead, click, create some different terrains. And if we don't want to do this, we can go enable our planes. Clipping planes will take minimum plane, and we can bring a little bit up to the top. You'll notice as we're going up and down, there's a plane is appear, and we can set what is minimum. So I can go and maybe stop around this area. You can see the minimum, and we want to also enable constraint to clipping area. So this time, if I start going lower, this is area where is a stop for me, so it does not allow me to go lower than this clipping area. That will help us to prevent having those holes in our terrain as we create it. So right here, I'm just going to create kind of almost like water going river maybe. Okay, and just around, maybe around there. Okay, as well, just on the back, a little bit slow down, make a little bit smaller on the back. And right here front, we want to make a little bit lower up front. You can see just so we have it kind of nice view, but right there, this is look. Actually, I do like how this cliff a little bit created, and usually we want to have it one smooth sides and some very okay, let's go zoom in. For example, right here, if we have a little bit one increase, we can just grow a little bit higher, even this cliffy almost look. Okay, right there, just molding. In some cases, you can think this is like a sculpting tool. So you just start sculpting your terrain, and I want a little bit harder edge on one. And usually that's what happens when river coming, it will have it some softer, and another edge is harder. Actually, usually probably this will be harder edge more, and this should be softer, but I think that will work. Okay, let's zoom out and create maybe river go more this way. Again, let's go invert. Increase size, and I'm just going like make a river go this way. Okay, let's make smaller again. If you want, you can try to use some other elements here, but I think for our purpose we won't see this element. That will work just good. Okay, and when we're done, we want to be sure we take our clipping zone and disable them, and go ahead, click OK. Let's select our main camera and move just about so we can preview. You can see right here we have a nice, beautiful view of our terrain with a little bit cliffy view. So this is our will be foreground. So let's go create background. For this, we'll go create a new terrain. And because previously we already select the high fill terrain, if we just right click, it will select our last selection. We'll go just shrink a little bit, put it on the side. I want to go to right click, edit object, and edit object. Let's disable view. I want to create something more interesting. So for this, I'm going to increase terrain. Notice it's 256 by 256. So if I create like young mountains example or peaks, they're creating okay, but a resolution not what I wanted for the medium. So if we increase our resolution even double, and click again, create, you can see we have a little bit more details. Personally, I don't like go higher, because if we're going higher, and we'll do again, we'll have a little bit too many. But again, it's depend what you like to create. So I'm going to reduce this resolution and click to create mountain. If you don't like one shape, it's what it does, it's going over a random seed, and it's creating all of this. If you like it one specific shape, you can always go ahead, click on a picture, and add additional picture there, or you can select what is random seed number it was selecting here. But for now, I think this is look good, and I want, you know what, maybe let's go through a couple more iterations. Okay, right there maybe. Yeah, I think this will work better. I just like how sides. And when we're done, let's go ahead, click OK. So let's create mountain right there for us. I'm going to just slightly rotate. How I said, we have this nice cliff. It's what I want to look. And now we can create very far away mountains. We'll go create a new, just increase scale. Okay, let's go create very large. I'll go to edit this object. Because it's far away, we don't care too much about details. We'll just leave it on raw resolution. Click on a rigid mountains, create one, and one important thing is we'll just want to stretch it. It will create a very nice stretch mount, and let's rotate a about 45 degrees towards. So what this rotation does, our mountains will going from the edge come closer and closer, and when we're creating haze, you will see how the far end become more in haze and come closer, become better, more clear. So this is what we're doing this for. So we'll just create one, put it on the side, and I want encapsulate our view. So what's happening here, we have a view about 1/3 of the sky. We maybe approach, but I want this mountain start from beginning, kind of like almost framing for us. So let's go ahead, select camera in our view, and just bring it slightly up. Okay, right here, let's go the camera and bring a bit down. Not too much, because I want still see a kind of water right there, but I also want to see about my sky. Usually if you keep it to basic proportion, like example is classic, if you divide by 3 equal sides, usually it's what I do. I have a 2/3 of maybe sky. In this case, it will be 1/3 of the sky and 2/3 of the landscape. So it's kind of very basic proportion, but they do work, and they're classic for a reason, because they are a little bit more pleasant when we view them. So right here, we created our basic setup. Let's right now start adding materials to this. First, before we do with materials, I want to open my camera settings. And in camera settings, you can open by right click in select options, or just double time click on main camera. And we have this property. So one thing what I want to do is disable after exposure and no exposure filter. So I want to remove everything from there, just plain out. That will change a little bit how it's like look, but it is more natural. And now we will work with the lighting. The view does not change too much, so we'll have it more realistic and better control. Beside this, what's happening if you after adjust and you put it your sun position maybe in one area, your image become brighter. You put it sun down to the over the hill like sunset, and your image still be brighter, because after exposure will fix it. And kind of hard sometimes to catch this light. So if view does not try to adjust lighting for you, sometimes you end up with a little bit better controlled lighting in this case. So also, so we posted right there. Let's go ahead in atmosphere editing, and we currently with the photometric spectral. We'll try to switch to a standard spectral, see how it will be different, but for now we'll just keep it as set. Also in lighting, if you need it, you can modify right here adjustments. So for example, you can just bring a little bit down. Like if we're going more darker, you can see adjustment. And for now, I'll just set about 30%, so I can see the textures on the ground a little bit better. Let's go ahead, click OK, and we'll start working with the first texture for our ground. I know for this ground, we're going to use it some ecosystem populations. We'll go use it some plants and everything else. So I'll probably just have a very basic ground, because it is will be covered over with plants, but we need to this underlay kind of selected. So we'll do this, and also we have it our middle ground that will create some of the rigid stuff, and far away we'll just set a basic. Actually, you know what, before doing this, let's go ahead and create a cube, and this cube will represent water for me. So right here, I'll just stretch around there, and we could create a water layer, but I found in many cases, if I don't need it, displacement waves or other things, cube may work a little bit better, because this is a control, it does not step out, and you can see it's kind of help like create where the water line may be going. And you know what, let's go switch material very fast for this. We'll go to materials, basic on top, we'll go basic materials, and just let's select blue. So you can see in our preview, it's have kind of like water line creating for me, so I know where it's going. And this is important when we'll start creating this sand kind of shore a little bit. Okay, we can go ahead, bring a little bit back. Right there, this will be our water level. Okay, before we continue, let's go right click on our render, select maybe about 800 by this, final render to screen, click OK, and let's preview. So this is a very rough preview showing me general shape of my terrain. And I think that will work very well for now. Okay, let's go ahead. Next, we'll go to our main terrain, the front foreground. We'll go ahead, double time click, and open our material editor. So by default, if we look on material editor in a color, we have it natural grain, and this is very good for the basic cover. One thing, let's go switch this a little bit more to the brown color. Natural grain, it's work between these two, kind of fractal, almost paint between these two colors that we selected. So first we'll select a little bit warmer, and usually my lower one will be darker and my up a little bit brighter. So it's create, and you can see how it's a little bit yellowish. And you can play around a little bit with the roughness, balance, add grains, depending how you want to see. But again, will be just a basic cover. So next, let's go create new layer, and we're creating by clicking on icon, add new layer. This will create our basic layer, which will represent maybe a sand down below the water, where the water level go up and down. For this one, we'll switch as create new procedural color. We want to switch to natural grain, and we'll go a little bit more to sandy colors. So you can always refer to some images, but I think in some case kind of already know. So we'll go create two different colors. We want pop-up roughness, a bit more grain add, and notice the highlights. I'm not necessarily fan of the how highlights going, so I'm going with a little bit more dual highlights on this. And also we're going with the bumps. So currently we don't have any bump map. I want to add, and we'll go procedural, and if you just double time click, it's open the library for you. You can select, if you go to basic, we'll just select terrain fractal. We just need very basic. What is important for us, it's a depth. This is very high depth, so we want to put 0.05. So very low depth. It just add slightly like grain, and we can reduce scale. Scale 0.1 on all X, Y, and Z dimensions. So it will make a little bit kind of small grain going over. And you can see in our preview right here, let's make it bigger. In our preview, you can see how we have this little grain going around there. So next, let's take this and now bring closer to the water. For this, we actually need to go inside the present here, and you'll notice we have our altitude, slope, and all this constraint applied. So we want to do by the object in this case, or you can do also by relatively to C will work as well, but I think by object will work just fine. And we'll go and start clipping down. One thing, when you're clipping, sometimes it's very hard to see if the colors is matched together. For this, if we're going inside the column where it says visibility, right click right there. Okay, let's click one more time, sorry, left click, and we can create the highlighter. Of course, when you create highlighter, right click will open color, so you can pre-select different colors. By doing this, we can, highlighter does not change our material. It's literally, it's what it does, it's apply like different color over, so we can see how the materials is distributed there. And right here you can see it's going by the edge. You know, maybe we want to drop just a little bit lower, maybe a little bit more, too much, bring back up. I just want slightly on the edge, maybe up, but important, it's a very sharp edge. So let's go ahead, use it fast and stop. Will pop up about 28%, and you can see how now it starts blending a little bit better. This is what we're going after. When we're done, left click, and it will just replace with a highlighter, remove it and replace with material. So next we want to put it another material. And for this one, okay, let's go rename this sand so we know what it is. We'll just go and create a new material, and we want to create this material under sand, but before default. You can always, if you need it, you can just rearrange them, and you can see right here you have it options. We can select this layer, and we can move this layer up and down. So right here on the side, right side, we can go bring up and down if you accidentally create it. One thing to understand about the layers, they work like one paper on top another one. So if you drew something on one paper and you put it another piece of paper on top of this, you won't see your image below. So you'll need to cut it over our presence before it was cut, how high it is. But you can also use the alpha map or other things to make this somewhat transparent. And we'll see this as we're going a little bit more forward, how we can do this. But right now, I want to create a grassy kind of look in some areas. So let's go ahead and rename grass for this one. And as a grass going, we want obviously green color. So we'll switch to natural green in our color tab. And we'll switch one. We'll have it a little bit brighter green. And another one's kind of dying green, a little bit more yellowishy. Okay, so you can see how it's applied. Let's go ahead, maybe even a little bit brighter in this case. It's work a little bit better when you can distinguish colors. And we're going inside and maybe reduce just noise scale, roughness, and distortions. So just play around as preview. And most what we want this kind of grain almost seeing distortion, because when we start putting our ecosystem over this, in some areas we won't cover 100%. So this distortion is helping us to create this effect. Also, what is work very well in this case, so let's go take our highlights down. We want to add our bumps, and we want to always add bumps because we want to preserve bumps that below, but we also want to add our own, and it's similar things what we done before. So we open, create basic, and we don't want this high, again 0.01 actually for this, we want even less. And you can see how little bit bumps will help with that, and with the basic things right here. And we'll just leave it scale as default. Notice our overall, this is scale for the function, but we also have it scale for the materials, and the scale for materials as well is 1. So let's go next, create above the sand. We'll go create a new layer. Let's go call this flowers. Even we'll put it flowers over. I still want to create some underlayer. Notice when we create new layer, it's become all of the same color. So we don't necessarily want this color. It's kind of overriding. You can reduce by alpha boost, just removing, for example, and you can see how it's become somewhat transparent. So this is kind of nice, but I do want it in some areas. And do this properly, we actually want to go inside the alpha and create this. Notice if we create alpha, we have a function. So we can double click and create grainy. And it's hard to see again, where is the happening? So remember what we can do. We can left click and select, for example, our bright highlighters. So we can see where is alpha happening. And you can see that right there a little bit more, less. So that is help us. We can go inside function editor is modified there, but you also can go inside the filter. If you right click and add a filter, and in a filter we can just add some contrast between them. So we can bring some elements up, leave it down, so it will create this a little bit more sharper edges between on this, and playing with different effects. And you can preview right here. It will create a little bit maybe more darker area, like right in this area. If it's too much, I don't want for the flowers, so I'll bring back this way, and it will create a little bit less opening and more grainy this way. So let's go ahead and bring kind of bottom. I think that will look better. Let's go click OK. And at this moment, I want to disable my highlighters, go in a color, and in a color, we'll switch to natural green. Natural green, again, we'll just add a few colors, but I want a little bit more colorful. So we'll do orange, and let's go add maybe pale green. So like this right there. And let's go to add distortions, grain, maybe a bit more this way. Add roughness. Let me see on the roughness how maybe around there. That's what's happening. I just add those patches around the area. One thing, be sure we have it our add in our bump map. So we'll don't do some of this bumpiness. However, this color, maybe we can go a little bit brighter on this. So let's go ahead, click OK, select. That should create a little bit more orangey look. And no scale, let's a little bit play with roughness, adjust our contrast, and play with the balance. So we'll see on the preview. I think the distortion should be less. Just add a bit more coloring. Okay, I think this is look actually okay. We have the patches. Again, this will be our base lower one. Notice what's happening. We'll lost our sand line because the flowers above. We want to do, take our flowers as it's selected and click to move down below. So it's move below sand, and as we're doing now, our sand is start appearing right here. So it's come up a little bit better that way. I think at this point we kind of okay on this. So let's go click OK and be sure just save your work. Okay, so let's go ahead and next work on our this mid-size mountain. We go open, and we already have a base which kind of work nice, except I maybe want to create some of those outline on our ridges a little bit better. And for this, we're going to create a little bit more advanced option for this. So let's go ahead and right click and go to edit object. And this time we're going actually in a function editor. And maybe for somebody it's kind of feel too advanced or you get lost. So don't worry about this. I would recommend for you to check my on YouTube videos about introduction to function editor. We'll explain a bit better. But also if you just follow along what we're going to do here, hopefully that will kind of help you a little bit better. Okay, overall, just very fast overlook. In function editor, we have it nodes. So each of these is different node. And our flow going from left to right. So on the left, we'll have it input. It's where we're getting what our altitude, what all our orientation, all this information here. And on the right, it's what we're going to modify. It is what we're going to change. Between, it's what all fun has happened, so we can see what's going on. The one thing right here, we already have it, our altitude and our variable, roughness, all this stuff. If we click on plus, we can expand, and you can see we have rough and altitude. Let's go expand more, and we have it all this additional that we don't need it. We just need this altitude and rough areas. So let's go right click, we go output, and what we want to do is create custom dependency. We want to have it special information that our terrain can pass to us. And for this, it's custom dependencies. So custom dependency will create one. And then what? Let's rename to altitude, okay, for this. And we'll go to altitude, click and connect. Okay, next, let's go create new output. Same custom dependency, and we'll just rename by clicking in a Windows. So we'll just short for roughness. We'll just go and create roughness connecting. It's all what we're going to do. We'll just take those two outputs and save them. When we're done, we can go back to terrain editor. You'll see it's nothing changed. We just take all of this information and save it. We'll go ahead and click OK. So now we can go inside the material and edit. So let's go ahead as terrain is open or highlighted. We open our object material editor, and in material editor, just as a test, let's go create a new layer. Okay, we'll go select this layer, highlight it, and we'll select highlight maybe bright red, so we can see, and you can see it's all over places. Next, what we want to do is going inside the alpha. Okay, we'll right click and edit function. So we'll have it very similar, and you notice right at this point we had a very similar interface what we had before. This is our inputs, this is our outputs, what we're controlling, and here's what was all fun happen. But we don't have that special input we just created. So for this, we'll right click, create input, and it's external dependency is what we needed. So we'll select external dependency, and in the properties below we need to go down dependency. go to our terrain. It's terrain 2. And notice right here we have 2 our special outputs we created. If we look in terrain other ones, we don't have them because we never created, but in a new one we do. So we'll go create a rough, and you can see right here it's a roughness. And what's happening if we create directly to alpha? You'll notice it's a change, so it does apply our some changes in some way. Like roughness, you can see it's a little bit darker and brighter. Because it's a gray scale and how we work, it's not that obvious or visible. We can go to create filters. We're going to create a filter, and if we're putting filter between them, similar to what we did before, we can actually control contrast of this. So let's put a filter before, right click on the icon and says edit filter. So in this case we can go select and bring down a little bit or up, so you can play around and you can see how it will start changing. By creating this increasing contrast, we actually can create a little bit more contrast between those values. That will help us to create darker and brighter areas. Okay, so let's go ahead. Just a little bit readjusting. Maybe right here. Put this on a 0 and bring this a little bit up. Okay, let's create one more point and just bring maybe this one, bring all the way down. So we'll have a little bit more roughness on some of those areas. And you can see right here we have a little bit more roughness going. So sometimes it's maybe does not necessarily work very obvious. You know, it's what we try to do, just bring those roughness elements a little bit better. Get here, let's go just reposition them. Okay, let's click OK. You always can try different. For example, we have roughness. What's happening if we switch to altitude? You notice it will be should a little bit more visible happening to that. Okay, so right here, let's check a couple things what we have, and we want to switch this to object parametric in this case. Mostly it's one kind of effect, but I always, when I map it to something, I kind of like to use this way. But you can see we have it right there, some of those areas, and if we just reduce slightly, right there we have it, those redness start coming up right in there. So for this, now we can remove our highlighter, okay, and we can start working again on a color. So let's go ahead, switch to natural grain, and because it's on the top, I want to create like almost iron deposit. So we'll go okay here, and let's add darker color. And preview there. Let's go to add grain and roughness a little bit more. We'll take our highlights, take all the way down highlights, so we don't want it. And there we have it start kind of nice in those areas coming up. We did this through the alpha. We also can do it through the transparency. And sometimes if the alpha is too strong or other things, like for example, let's increase there. It does apply on some altitude areas where it was higher. However, you can always apply additional, beside alpha, you can apply additional transparency. And you can do this as your transparent. Currently, it's the constant. We can have picture or we can have it procedural. In procedural, you'll see it's similar things. So let's open and select grainy fractal. One thing, if you do same way, you can actually create a mix and you can create a very nice on the edge. So it won't be smooth edge, it will be juggly. So you can do same way like right there. And as a preview, you can see how we have it those based on altitude on some areas, but we also have it now a little bit more patchy going. This is what I was going after, a little bit more patch kind of look. Let's go on a default layer. Okay, right here we'll go altitude. Okay, and again, connection between this external internal dependency, it's become very useful when you start working a little bit more with related kind of materials that it's correspond to some one or another effect. In some other videos, like for example when sunset and you want lights, turn it on. So you can do a lot of things with this. If you have a time, go ahead, experiment, play a bit more with those dependencies and see how they can work. So let's go back to our default color, and in a color what I want to do, it is actually bring quite a bit darker. So this one, first color, it should create quite a bit darker look, and we'll have it another ones with a brownish. So just overall this underlaying kind of creating nice look. Okay, so let's go ahead up. We'll create a new layer. Okay, and we'll call this grass. So in the grass, again, our colors, we want to switch to natural, and very similar to what we had before. Darker green, some water dyeing green color, two of different colors. We'll go our highlights a little bit lower. Okay, we'll go in a transparency. Let's go add procedural to this, and we'll go to preload, similar to what we have before. The grain, it's all random, so you can see how it's applied in some of those areas, and it's look very good. Next thing is what I want to do on a presence, I want to actually make on a slope range. So if we're taking to the flat areas, you can see how it will apply like patching in some. Okay, so let's go ahead, enable our coloring, and you can preview ways, see how it's patching going in those areas. So this is what happened in our slope ranges. So we can actually create even more on a flatter area, like around there, maybe back to 20. But we want also just increase a little bit of the fuzziness. So I don't like very harsh edge. This way it's create a little bit more nicer look. Okay, when it's done, let's go disable our highlighter, and we have it our apply. One thing about grass, I think I want this altitude to be above. So I'll go click and move it a little bit higher above this. Yeah, I think this way look kind of a little bit more interesting. So now our back mountains look something more kind of something interesting coloring. And a back mountain, I think just leave it as alone. So I don't want to change any colors on this because it just will be far away, very shadowing things. Okay, I think at this point we're ready to go ahead and start putting some plants on this. So let's go ahead, click OK, and let's save our work. Okay, next we start going work with the ecosystem or populations. So I'm going to select my main terrain. Okay, and this one, you know what, let's go to just double time click, and we'll call foreground, mid, and we'll call background. So we kind of know what we're dealing with. So let's go foreground selecting, and now in the foreground I want to add ecosystem. So we'll go ahead, open material editor, and in material editor, ecosystem will go above all of the layers in this case because we don't want paint. But create this one, you go create a new ecosystem particle. Okay, what's happening if I click right there? Notice it is changed what I already had. So I don't want that, so we'll go cancel. Okay, we'll go foreground again, open, because I don't want to change this. I'll need to create a new layer, and after I create new layer, I want to switch to ecosystem. So I don't want to replace what I have it, I need to create new one. Okay, and we'll call this grass ecosystem. So let's go ahead, now ecosystem created. We can open general tab and preloaded items. We'll go ahead, add plants. Okay, and as our library open, I'll just drag down going to the grass plants, and it depends on your collections. What I do recommend, it's a mixing them, create all these different types, because some of them work better, some less. So I'm open this collection, and I'll just select these plants. Okay, let's go to add a few more. So we'll go add plants, same things. We'll just add different variation of the grass. And you know what, let's add a little bit more plants. So we'll go to add plant, and now we'll have it maybe something different, you know, maybe this patch of grass we'll add it. The more variation you have it, they look kind of nice, the more natural mixing. If you want it, if you're on a subscription with a Vue, it's come with a plant factory, so you can actually create your own plants if you need it, or you can purchase them. Otherwise, you can have it non-static or static, because this is all dynamic plants if you need it. So right here we actually created the one thing. If I press populate, it will take quite a bit, and you can see how much it's populated. It's not necessarily what I want to do in this case, because it's populated everywhere. Instead, I want just populated in specific areas. And if you notice, the camera does not take some angles, so I don't want populate there. Because of that, actually I found in many cases I want just to paint. And to paint, I'll just go ahead. Okay, let's go select a little bit smaller so we can preview. And right here is my view. There you go. Let's go closer. So I'm going to paint right around there. We'll go open select, and we'll go click paint tool. So it will open paint option for us. We want to select a populate. Let's go down and see what we have with options. Airbrush, yes. One brush flow, maybe a scale just a little bit smaller for now, and limited density, let's go to about 100. We'll see how it will happen. And reduce brush radius. So right there, when I start painting, you can see it start populating around areas where I want them populate. This is actually what I was going after. But however, I don't necessarily like the size, so I can go just to erase. Oh, let me go ahead. And instead of this, click on eraser. Okay, so we'll go erase this stuff. So I don't want those plants there. They're too big. Now we'll go back to brush, and I want to actually take scale a little bit smaller. We'll go populate. Yeah, I think this is better. Okay, so now we can go and populate in just in those areas. And notice, because they're going down the hill, it's not always visible, so I'm going to populate. But when I start clicking, it does not populate that much because our limit density is enabled. So I'm going to go uncheck this, and now I can actually paint with a little bit more around the grass right here. There you go. So this is our should populate it around this area. Also, I want to go take just a little bit scale down and populate a little bit right on that hill. Should be right on our right. There you go. You can see how they're going around. We can go and populate even a little bit more if you need it. Just right there. Okay. Should be populating them quite a bit nicely. Okay, don't worry too much if we don't cover everything. We don't need it because we'll have it some plants go over, but it does help if we have it some plants. And you know what, let's go populate right around edges here. Should go right around there. Just add a little bit grass. Again, I think I'll go a little bit smaller. Increase flow, so we'll go a little bit faster. And I'm just going to populate, painting just around there. You can go closer to the water, like around there. Okay, let's move it. We'll populate a little bit on the top. Don't worry too much. Again, we'll have some plants, trees there. It just help. If somebody look through the trees, it will help them to see kind of a little bit more grassy things. And our sun lighting, it does not help right now because we kind of look in a weird place. Okay, so right there. I think we have plenty of the populations. When we're done, click OK. Next, let's add a few flowers to this area, mostly up front. And for this, we'll go create new layer. Okay, let's go flowers. I just like to add coloring to that effect. And as the flowers, we'll switch to the ecosystem. We'll go to add plants, and the plants will go flowers. And here again, it's up to you, whatever is your collection. I'm just going to select all different type of flowers. We'll maybe switch them. We'll see what's going on. Depending on how much we'll put it. But we need to be careful because I don't want to populate too much flowers, so it's not overpowered by the color. Okay, and we'll go select the... I'm trying to different colors. You know what? Let's see if we have some whites. And I don't see any good white color, except this one maybe work. Yeah, let's go just grab them as well. And it does help when you have the bigger selection of the plants, because then you can have a very nice, more accurate type of the plants to the region that you try to work. In my case, I just use it wherever come default. So in this case, you don't need to worry. If you want, you can use them as well. So we've done this one. Let's go now again, click on a paint tool. And with the paint tool, actually, we need to do a couple different things right now, I think. First off, we'll go select populate. We'll go limit density, leave it there. I want to reduce scale and reduce a little bit on the flow. So, and let's, if I click a couple times, you can see the plants already kind of populating. So maybe even less than that. Actually, you know what? Let's go scale, bring back up, maybe around 80. Let's click again one more time, see how our flowers come up, and they maybe a little bit, no, they're okay. Actually, that is good size, maybe just a bit smaller. Okay, and I'm just going to bring them in few areas. Okay, I think overall, I'm not sure if I like this is what's nice here, but this area a little bit too much. So let's go erase. Okay, and we'll just try to erase some of the flowers like in the area. Okay, I click too much on the edit, so there you go. Okay, let's go back to my paint tool. So yeah, I erased right there a little bit. It was too much, I think, but I do want to put plants, flowers maybe on that heel. So for that, let's go zoom out, zoom back in. So around here I want to do, go back to our tool. Scale 1 probably will work fine. Maybe reduce flow. Okay, reduce flow a little bit less, and I'll just painting a little bit right there. Okay, sometimes if you have too much of some plant like this wildflower, too many, we could always modify them. Okay, we can change them to have less population if needed. Okay, right there. Okay, let's go zoom out and just very slightly just put plants, flowers around these areas. Okay, it will look, they should be right here, those plants. Yep, it's about right, and same on the hill. So I think they come up very good. So let's go kind of close it, this one. One more thing I want to add, and it is this edge by edge right here. I want to add the reeds in the water. So let's go create new layer. Okay, oops, I already created twice, so we'll go delete one. And this one we have it water plants. Okay, right here we'll go switch these two ecosystem. And we'll go to add plants, and my icon look kind of funny. So in add plants, we'll go create a fellows, maybe, yeah, let's add them. Okay, and we'll kind of go add another item, plant. I don't know which one, maybe the bamboo. I know it's not that area, but they will look kind of nice. We also have it papyrus, can go in water, so some different type. I think let's go with the small grass fields. Also, they will look like something floating in the water as well. So when we're done with this, we'll go to click paint tool. Same, we already have our brush set. We have our scale, so we can go to reduce brush radius a little bit, maybe pop up a little bit on the floor, and just painting right there on the edge. So let's see, because I think that can be a little bit too large. So let's go increase density a little bit higher and reduce scale, maybe about this area, and we'll just paint like this a little bit right there, kind of on the edge. Our plants, so we'll go right there. This will help kind of somewhat creating more interesting edge by the water. Okay, we'll just go inside, and nice things, because we're going in the water, you'll see them going in the water kind of and disappearing. So we'll have this interesting edge going right there. Okay, so we'll, I think around this area I need to put it a little bit more here and a little bit right there. So these small elements, and you can see how we start painting, so it's come up a little bit nicer, more interesting edge. Okay, let's go close this. Next, let's go paint a little bit of the trees. So we'll go, before that, let's go click save. Be sure we save our work. We'll go create a new layer. Let's call this trees. Okay, and same, we'll go switch to the ecosystem material. Now we need to go to add plants, and we're going to the trees. And same, the more mix you have it, kind of the more interesting look. So we'll have it alder anthem, add to this. Okay, we'll have it another maybe summer, so we want to have a different colors on the leaves, so they're going on. Let's go next plant. Also, I think we can go select maybe European ash will look very good. Okay, let's go add plant. Maybe we can even put it some of the pine trees if we find good ones. So right here, that's summer. Yeah, let's go to large European ash, so it's a little bit different variation of that. Let's go add plant. Okay, let's go down right there. I think this white mature, that will be kind of look nice. And warning sometimes pop up because it is, if it's plant create from new generation ecosystem, it could be very polygon intense, and it just let me know, hey, beware, this is what's going on. Okay, let's go add another plant. Maybe we'll select some like dead plant here. You know, let's go ahead and select some plants maybe dead. And if I don't want to have this too much of the dead plant, I'll just go and reduce maybe to about 5, you know, not so many. Same with these ones, maybe reducing. Okay, reduce kind of how many I wanted them. Okay, next, I think we're ready to paint. So for this, we'll go again, select our paint tool. We'll select our populate brush. Brush radius is set. Scale, all of its radius. So I'll just go on the back and just start painting right there a little bit. See how it's look. And I think that should be okay. Oh, maybe too big, okay. So let's go to eraser. Let's go erase those plants. They're a little bit too big for me. So I want to winter scale that tree. Let's go make it smaller. Okay, just that tree. I don't want too big. Okay, let's go here. We'll go to click on our brush. We'll just reduce scale to half size. Pop up flow and other stuff, so we can painting a little bit right there. Let's see how they come up. They should paint also right around there. So let's preview. We should have it very nice. There you go, a little bit better. I still want a little bit opening so we can see mountains through this. So we'll just paint a little bit around this area. Okay, and just go right on the edge. So it should cover this area should be covered kind of almost. There you go. And we have a nice beautiful opening with other mountain on the background kind of scene. We could bring a little bit more plants right up front here and right in this area, but for that let's do another trick. So we'll take it and make scale even smaller, and we'll just paint a little bit right up front, like around here. It should create smaller like foliage around there, a little bit, kind of give it us a little bit more dimension. Okay, we can go a little bit, put it here, and few plants right on the back right there, so I can create a little bit nicer look, kind of like openings, and we have the mountains on the back. And that's kind of interesting because sometimes you spend time creating, we can move the mountain, but you can create all these textures and it's end up covered all up. So let's go ahead and reduce scale even more, and I just want to put it a little bit right around this area, a little bit closer right around here to cover. Okay, I think this has come up kind of more interesting now, cover. So let's go ahead, we'll close this one, we'll go ahead, click OK. And next what I want to do is actually take a little bit of this mountain, maybe just a little bit reposition, so we'll have a more interesting view, like on the middle right there. Maybe even kind of open that way. Then we can take our background, scale even bigger, and like right there, so we'll have it a little bit covered. This edge right there, don't worry too much because I'm going to actually put a plant closer. Let's go save it, go on our foreground, zoom in closer, 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 and now I want to place plants by hands. So for this we'll go right click on the plants. We already have a tree selected, so I'm going to select this mature pine tree, and you can see it just will select one single instance for me. Okay, and it's placed right there on the side, so it's a little bit too large. I'll go to scale slightly down, bring it down below, and move on the side. So as I said before, we cover, but they're also creating for us this kind of encapsulation, so you can see it's add this nice beautiful kind of almost lock us in this frame what we're creating. So right in this corner I want to add another one, but it won't be pine tree, so it will be probably this elder, one atom elder, and we'll just add to this corner. So same when it's creating, we'll just bring, shrink, and another trick, let's move just slightly towards camera. It just leaves look a little bit better that way. And we add and position just like right there. Let's move slightly out of the frame, around there. This is what should create frame right around. You can see it's kind of nice, beautiful height. We can also add another one, I think just a little bit far away, like around here. So let's go ahead, right click, select a different color. I like to different matching. So we'll take this one and we'll just go ahead and put it somewhere like on the back right there. So then you'll see it just cover some of this area and make it look a little bit more interesting. Okay, maybe just push a little bit off right there, shrinking, so we still have it a little bit but does not cover too much. Okay, now let's work on these areas, and for this same I'll just create this plant that we just used, and we'll go create those kind of bushes so we can put it by the water. Okay, shrink down, maybe rotate depending on foliage, and I want to bring them down to the ground so they're almost like floating. And this is happening very nice if we create just around areas like right here. Let's create a little bit yellow color, maybe somewhere like in this area right here. I think right around there. Okay, we'll just shrink it and bring down to the water. Okay, you can see around there we should have it nice bit of a foliage coming. Other things also what we can do, it is you hold down Alt key or Option on the Mac, you hold down, left click and drag, and it's taken duplicate them. And because we're far away, we don't need necessarily see some of those, but it will help us right there to create this extra foliage look-alike. So because the leaves all mixed together, but they will create kind of preview. Okay, so that one look nice. Let's go, just maybe add, I think right here up front will be nice as well. So let's go ahead, click create new one, and I'll just bring one right up front. So we'll shrink down to make it smaller leaves. Bring like around there. You see how we have it on the bottom? Just right in this area I want to something create a little bit more interesting. Like right there. Just right in this, it will add. And what we're going after this kind of a messiness little bit look. Okay, save our work, and I think we're almost ready to work with the water. So our cube, this is our water, was created. So now we need just open material editor. We're going to water. Let's go see where we have it, our transparency liquid. So we have it right here. Let's say liquids. Okay, and we have it all is different. By the way, if you're interested, I have it thousands, I don't know, 800s, 900s, a lot of materials, probably 1,000 now in my collection. I'll cover all the stuff, as well as very many atmosphere presets. And if you're interested, you can go to my Patreon website. I'll put a link below for the Patreon website, where you can go and download those packs for free, so you can actually use it in your own work, royalty free. A lot of assets there, and it's also helped me to support, kind of help me to create more videos. Okay, right here we have our liquid, and we can select. I think the channel water may work okay, except you know what, instead channel, yeah, that one probably will work better. It's have a kind of effect. We'll see, maybe this will be a little bit too muddy looking. So let's go ahead, click another one, and we have it water lilies. So let's go open that one. This is kind of nice because instead of formats, we'll create those green elements going on around there. Okay, I think that is look a little bit better. So let's go open. We'll go to our transparency, and inside transparency we can see we want to increase a little bit more transparency. We show refraction 1.3, reflective with angle. We can try to play a little bit more on that. That should create a little bit more reflection, but because I'm going sun change, maybe not. So we'll go, let's go take reflection all the way down. Because I forgot, we'll go move sun, and the sun will have it like kind of effect on the reflection. Okay, right there. I think that is fine. We'll just leave it like this. Okay, at this point we can take our sunlight and move a little bit behind. So we're creating what they call golden hour, when it's some like sunset happen, and we have the beautiful lighting coming from the sky and creating this kind of nice highlights. Okay, right here we can play a little bit with a down or up. We'll see how it will come. But I think also I want to move just slightly this way, a little more towards opening, so we'll have it more lights coming. And there you go. It will lights come, highlight our plants up here. You know, I'm looking on the water. I'm not a big fan of how it's murkiness looking on this. So let's go create our water cube. You know what? Let's go switch, and we'll just go with something a little bit more tropical. There you go. That should give us a little bit bluish look. Yeah, I like this a little bit better color, I think. Okay, so we're done with this setup, and I'm just looking, not sure if I like right here how brightness, and sometimes you maybe want to add a little bit bright but add shadows at this point. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a new plant, and we'll just select something like ash spring. Okay, and notice how the shadow's going. So this is plant, it will be just our shadow creating. So we'll just add out of the camera, but we want to be sure it's casts shadows in a place where we want it. So let's go move a little bit this way. Just find angle where you can see that from sun, it will cover some of this. There you go. See how it's shadows coming? That is what I was going. A little bit more shadows right in this area. So we can again just readjust positioning a little bit more. So I'll bring a little bit more lights this area and more shadows here. Again, this is just work for us only to create shadows. It does not do anything. And we can also bring a little bit higher so that there will be more in this area lights. There you go, a little bit better. Okay, let's go ahead now back to our atmosphere editor. And in the atmosphere editor, we can bring back slightly brightness. So we don't want to overwhelm with brightness, but we want to be sure it just have it nice lights going over. Let's go next to sky, haze, and fog. And I want to take this aerial perspective and pop up. So we'll also set to the 0. And reason is we'll create this haze a little bit more, give it kind of more distant look. I don't know if I want this high. I think this is a little bit too much. So we'll go back to about 2 or 1 point. That should clear up quite a bit and add nicer look. So next, let's go add a little bit fog, haze, decay. So it will be look a little bit more kind of sunsetish, a little bit more warmer color. Again, if it's look too red, let's go take back on this. So it should create it. And I want a little bit more glowing dust. So the glowing will go glow intensity and will pop up a little bit on the scattering. So that should make this area on the right a little bit more glowing. Okay, there you go, a little bit better. Let's go next to the clouds. We'll go to preload clouds and we'll just go use it simple, thick, high cumulus clouds. Only I want to create a little bit lighter, so we can leave it as is if you like it. What I like to do with them, I just like to create kind of whispering clouds a little bit. So we'll add details, altitude variation, shadow density, ambient lighting pop up a little bit more on them, and you'll see how they kind of become like whispering clouds, just slightly seeing up in the sky. They're a little bit maybe too high. We can drop them down in altitude. So let's go ahead, take altitude maybe to like 1 kilometer, a little bit below, and we'll go to set height a little bit up from that. Okay, so it's pop up a little bit on a height. So let's create kind of nicer background look. With the sky, maybe add a little bit more bluish to this, but I do like pastel colors, so we'll see. However, I think maybe it's still too hazy. So let's take down to about 1. Just clear up slightly these elements here, but we can bring back with our fog. So it's what we're going to do. Okay, we'll go take, increase our fog density for this. So this will add a little bit right around this area, our fog. Okay, maybe a little bit more even. Okay, and let's go back to our lighting. And the lighting will just bring brightness slightly up again. I want to see how that will affect. And one thing with atmospheres, I recommend create multiple atmospheres, save them. You can always reuse, you can bring back different atmospheres and you'll see how they will look. I'm not sure about right this area, if I like it right here. So maybe I'll just go bring another plant and just put it right around there. So let's go ahead, click OK. I was saying around here, I don't like it. So we'll go ahead, right click. Let's select a different plant. We'll go maybe the same with what we have before, alder. And I do like, because these plants are actually very easy. They don't take so many polygons, but they look actually very good. Okay, so we add it. Let's take a few seconds till plant is there, shrinking down and putting, I think, around that area. So up, 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 right here. Just bringing around here, and we'll go Alt again, or Option. Oops, I don't want to do with foreground. Okay, I just want to do with elder. Okay, again, Alt, drag, so we'll be copying, rotation, so it's look a little bit different. Bring a bit down, so just around this area. And you know what, let's create another maybe the summer just in this corner right here a little bit. I kind of think it will look a little bit better. So we'll shrink, rotate. I want those plants, and we'll just bring like around there and up, 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 just like that. Okay, shrink a little bit more. Just a little bit cover. So it's always just creating this kind of framing around our scenery. So we want to do it. And if it's look too harsh, let's move a little bit out. So add a little bit more flowery view. Let's also create those dimensions. You remember what it says, with a loss of details, with loss of the some other elements. Okay, let's go sun. And with the sun, we have a couple options. We can actually take and rotate, kind of add a little bit more lights. We'll use some shadowing drop from there. It will go away. Okay, so we have it less glowing, but we do have nicer shape. So it's kind of experimental almost with sun. You can play around just a little bit more one way or another and see how it will work. So there, this tree should cast our shadows a little bit more on the middle and less on this plant. So yep, we have it glowing. And I know I kind of like this one as well, because now we still have the mountain back, some of this lighting. I think we'll just go with this simple summer look. Okay, right now let's go ahead, click on render. And this should be our small render preview. Okay, so right here you can see we have our image render preview. This look nice. I like how it's messiness, how it's come like natural look almost. I think let's add one more detail before we're going. So for this, we'll just go inside here. Be sure we'll save our work before do any other things. We'll go right click on a tree, and I want to find some old tree for this. So we'll go just select maybe, let's go select this winter tree. That will work for us. Okay. Now in a winter tree, I want to just double tap click to open plant editor. Okay. I don't want terrain editor. Let's go winter tree, and we'll do this way. We'll go to edit object. So this will open our plant editor, and here I want just reduce a little bit link. Okay, maybe increase narrow a little bit more, pop up diameter, and I'll show you reason why we're popping up diameter, and reduce drop down. I think that will work. Okay, so this will be our base plant. Next, what I want to do is rotate this plant like it's almost laid down, okay, broken. Kind of put it right there, you know. Let's drop down slightly, leave it even more on the ground. Kind of think about it's like plant that just laying right there on the ground. Okay, notice sometimes what's happening, we have it lose some if it's still be there, but it's just showing how it's lost some of the background. So that is okay actually. So right there, maybe, you know, just let's bring closer, maybe like around there, and bring up. So kind of like almost hard to need find. You know what, let me go edit again this object, because I leave it, don't like how it is done. So increase now, reduce diameter, actually make it a little bit smaller, a little bit less branches, you know, and let's drop a bit more. Okay, so I'll just leave it opposite good direction. I want to create maybe even more around, kind of spreading plant like that. Okay, so now what are we going with this plant? We're going to select material. So we'll go through number 2. There you go. This is material we wanted. We'll double click and you see how highlights going. So we'll know on right material. We'll go create a new layer. It will be our ecosystem, and it's kind of funny because it will be ecosystem, so double ecosystem. We'll go to add plant, and as I add plant, we'll go grass, and we'll select one of this small grass field. If you have it some other ones kind of small, that will work, but I think this will work very well. We'll want to go to the density, okay, and we'll want to check 360 populations and just click populate. So what's happening is we'll create all over. Be careful, it will take a lot of resources sometimes, but it will populate like green leaves you can see all over places. So let's create some interesting like falling tree or other effect. So I'll go ahead, we can preview. I think that is okay, except clear. You know what, and let's go scaling. I want just a little bit lower make, and go populate one more time. So it will add quite a bit instance, but again, this is our hero plant that I'll probably just put it somewhere on the side. Okay, we'll go click OK now, and we'll just drag and put it like right around there. So it will be our hero plant. Okay, let's go right click on our active camera view and click select render area. So I'll just select this area where the leaves I want to preview, and I'm going to select and render preview. This will be small preview fast because I don't need everything, but I just want to be sure those elements will come up how I want it. And you can see we have a teeny tiny leaves cover them. I think, yeah, that is look a little bit more interesting, like something covering them. We could actually even create a little bit more and go far away, but I think at that point, yeah, I think it's going to quite a bit nice in this area here. And this way you can actually create the roots. This is interesting techniques, because all what we need to do to put it same on the roots, and we can create this moss kind of going down roots, or on an old log you can create it some other. So it is almost those small plants. You can take teeny tiny plants and create them. Actually, we'll show you. So we can create like mix and bunch of different moss plants can go around. Okay, I think this is look okay for now. So we'll go ahead again, edit our material, and an ecosystem. Let's go add plant, and I think it is one of those teeny tiny, like this plant, small grass plant. It's teeny tiny. So we can go there, and we'll go to density, pop up slightly density. Let's click populate. That should just cover almost everything. Again, be careful when we do this, because right now it will create a lot of instance by doing this population. That's why usually if I do like that, I'll do on a one plant, last one, let's put it, because it will take a lot of time sometimes to populate and create a lot of instance. So let's go look right here, and we can see it does populate it. And we want gonna look nice 360. We don't need stock. Stock will work very well as well. We are here, there, plan. We don't need this. Let's look also lean out of low. We can do that also, but rotate is fine. Keep proportion. The one from direct, we probably want kind of going more around, so we want to go perpendicular and vertically, so it does not just go up. So let's go again, click populate one more time, and I think we're almost done right now, ready to create this. The another thing's also fun, take this plant, maybe put inside the water as it's floating, and you can see some plants growing out. So you have a lot of interesting things you can create with this. Okay, well done with this. Okay, so we have our plant, which is have it right here, beautiful population on this. And as I'm speaking about that plant, let's do one more. So as I'm clicking, we'll create this dead plant that was selected before. Okay, I think it's that plant. Maybe it is. Nope, it's a grass field, so I don't need my grass field created. So when I select an ecosystem, I want to select trees, and I want to select this dead tree. Let's go select that one. We'll go put this on the edge, right around there. We'll go right click and edit object. Okay, be sure we'll save our work, and we'll go now pop up quite a bit here. Okay, we'll have a low diameter, a little bit more on a drop, so kind of too much a drop. Go back, there you go. Okay, a little bit fall out. Click OK. So it should create kind of weird looking plant right there. We'll just rotate. Okay, put it a little bit down. Shrink it a little bit. So you can see it will be in water, like right here, going almost some like branches will grow in the water. So it's kind of interesting also look. And we can shrink something in the water. Okay, just overall small details, and probably with this you always like never done. You want to add more and more and more details. So let's go ahead right now. What I want to do, it is disable discard by render areas. So I want to render everything that we just created. Okay, I still kind of sometimes looking, and I'm see right there a little bit opening. So let me just grab this one, place it just a little bit right there, so slightly covered, because I did not like how this right here was looking. Okay, and now we can go to click on render, and I will render at least high def. You probably want to do a little bit higher resolution, but I think for the purpose of this that should work. Render to screen, least final. Sometimes you want to go better quality, but that will work as our preview copy. The atmosphere is just standard. It's not like super sunset, but it's nice, beautiful daylight. We have a nice coloring. You know what? Let's go take our sunlight. Just slightly bring it a little bit down. Okay, it should just give it a little bit, warmer look on this. Okay, and I think we're ready, so I'm going to go ahead, start render. Okay, be sure you save it before, and I'm going to pause this video till render is completed, because it may take a little bit time, and we'll resume as soon when it's done. Okay, so right here is render going. I look on a couple of things, and I really don't like this type of the grass right here, what's going on, and a mountain. So let's go actually stop this render. But this one, let's look good, except some of this. So we'll go fix a couple of those things. So first on the middle, we'll go open material editor. And second one, let's take a little bit time. right there. Okay, so let's go open. We'll go add new layers. Let's go trees. Okay, switch to ecosystem, and we'll go to add some fruit trees. So this one, we'll go click OK. And one thing what I want to do in the presence, we'll go to, again, flutter a little bit, so we don't want to go too high. We'll go on a scaling, make it a little bit smaller, about 100 right there. And we can click populate. So it should populate around that area. Yeah, I just want preview right here. The look. That's about right on the forest. I like it a little bit better. So except what we're going to do right now, we have it 13,000 instance going all over places. Instead, we're going to set a variable density, and we'll just preload it. Okay. Next, we'll go on a scaling, pop up just a little bit even smaller. Okay. Presence, we'll go to bring down and increase fuzziness on both of them, and we'll go to create dynamic population. So clear dynamic population. So dynamic population will do with the camera seats will populate it, and because I just want kind of on the top, that will work just fine with us. Let's go click OK. That should fix it. Next, with our plant, what we have our this winter tree. Instead, I want to click open our material editor, and in ecosystem I'll go to reduce density, make smaller. Let's go to clear. Okay, we'll click populate. So we'll just go populate branches. We do have some empty branches there. And maybe I want to actually even reduce density more to this. So we'll see in a second. 15,000. No, that's probably okay. So we'll go click. Okay, we'll right click and we'll copy multi-material. We'll go back to a couple other ones, and we'll just say paste. It will ask us if we want to populate with ecosystem. In a second. Okay, I think I did says, oop, I don't want to copy. So wrong thing I press, so we'll go there. Copy. Okay, let's go back, paste. Paste. Okay, that should actually apply too, but its pasting does not work for some reason. So let me go. Oops, see if there we can do. Okay, in a second when it's figure out. Go back, right click, assign to all. Let's do this way. Okay, and now we can go populate. I just want to be sure this is populating to all branches, because I think something wasn't covered because there was different material. Even it's showing one material, but it's looked like it wasn't going. And we'll see if it's, yeah, it seems like populated more right here. Okay, so just reducing a little bit, because I think it was a little bit too much of the plants and it was cover some of those. When they open, okay, that one look okay. The mountain, you know what, maybe its density still be a little bit too high on a mid mountains, and my background it's definitely hiding. So let's take these ones, increase even bigger, and just put it right there, so that they will be kind of covering a little bit this area far away. Just give it this nice shade there. Okay, this is our mid one. Let's go open editor and density. Just drop density lower. Decrease this. We'll just add lean, shrink at low density a little bit better. Okay, we can go ahead, click preview. So we'll see where they will be populated. Let's go come closer, and we can see, yeah, it's actually populating about right where I want it. Click OK. Now let's go click save, so we'll save our work. And I think those 2 touches, because yeah, right here plants a little bit better. It's not overwhelmed, we can see through. So let's look a little bit better, I think, here. Yeah, on the mountains right there, you can still see mountains, and just does not look so ugly and empty. I think with those pines come up very good on the back. And this pine, winter fir tree. Okay, I think I want to just a little bit shrink down slightly more. Make a little bit smaller. Okay, a little bit like right there, because I think it's right there, a little bit opening there. Let's leave it open here. And that's what's happening. Sometimes you start rendering and you look, and that just does not look right. So you want to come back and some edit. And like this back grass, so around this area, I don't necessarily like how it's going. So we'll go to open. We'll go to select our grass at this point. Okay. Like around there, and we're going to paint our grass. Only what I want to do, it is remove this patch grass. So we'll have it select all, maybe creating. No, let's don't do this. I'll just go right here, general, and I don't like this patch grass come up, not kind of very good, so we'll just delete it. Oops, let me go delete that patch grass, because it should have it quite a bit less than cover, and we'll just repaint in some of those areas. So I just don't like how that patch come up. Okay, to paint, we'll go to our brush. We'll go to disable limit density, scale, maybe about 1, 2. Well, let's go 1 for this one. Increase brush radius, flow. And we can just start painting like around here. So that should help with the look. How say, I just really don't like how the hill wasn't look very good at all. So we'll just need it kind of patching a little bit more. Okay, let's go right there. I'll go closer. And same right here, let's patch a little bit more around, because we did not have the other grass, and this one will look much better. Okay, we'll just paint all over places here. Let's take a little time, a little bit slow painting. Okay, let's look. Yep, it's about right. Maybe a few more painting around here. We want to create very kind of lot of grass going around here. Okay, a little bit more on the sides. Okay, we'll zoom out. We lost a lot of grass on this hill as well. So let's just add a little bit more. And again, some of those plants, like the grass patch, for example, it just does not like right. It was kind of look weird. Probably shadowing and other stuff, and it's what happened. I do think with Plant Factory and the new plants, they actually do quite a bit nice job, so they look way more realistic, and it's definitely must have kind of plants, so they look nice and fill up. Okay, right there. You know what? Let me create a bigger brush. Well, so we can go a little bit faster. Okay, right there. Okay, let's go zoom out, zoom in here. And we just kind of placing a lot of this plants. Okay, and the next we could take ground and just apply a little bit more darker. I think that will help as well. So we'll go right there. Just plant a little bit more. I think this is majority where was just on this hill. Just did not look very good. Okay, let's go zoom out. I'll go to make it a little bit smaller. And go over. Okay. So let's go ahead. Now we close these ones. We also have our grass by default. So we'll go down, click, and we'll select darker. So that will help kind of us to create a little bit more darker look. Underlay material. Okay, well, let's go click OK on this. Again, let's save our work. Be sure it's let's save it, and I just want right click, go to select render areas, and I want just render this small on the hill right there element. So I want to see how that will come up. Yeah, and from preview you can see it's way better. Yeah, the grass look nice. So we can stop that one. Okay, let's go cancel. Now we're going right click and says discard render area. And I think we still set on right things. So okay, go ahead, render. And we're going to, again, wait till the render is completed. And hopefully that time it's kind of look better. How I say, a few things when I was rendering, it just jump and it says, you need to fix that. So it's what we're going to fix. Okay, so here the render is done. It took 36 minutes. And we can preview, of course, more stuff can be done to this. Like, for example, this branch is still maybe rearranged because we have a nice some population there, but this is empty, or play around with this. This plant maybe need to be a little bit smaller. How say it? Sometimes you render and you go back and review. But overall, I do like composition. I do like how the plants go by the water, the hills. Some of those flowers may be too big. I may rework this and reduce size of those plants, like flowers in the back. They're a little bit too large. And we'll repost probably in after. We'll go to change those, apply those changes and create final. But I will let you also just modify and maybe based on some ideas from this video, create your own landscape with all these techniques when showing. So thank you for watching this video, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and of course if you can, support on Patreon, because this is greatly appreciated. Thanks. Okay, so right here's our image. You can see I was modified a little bit, just some elements here on the background as well. Change the plants a little bit. Again, probably maybe more should put flowers in the end, but it's look good. Overall, here's our image that we created inside the view, and hopefully you find this very useful. Thank you for watching this video.